that can kind of make it relate to like my musical journey or some shit like that.
So I guess the first question would be like, to you, what's kind of a two-parter? So it'd be, to you, what is music to you, and like how does it interact with like your daily life and like how you dress and what you do?
Yeah, my style and everything. Yeah, so basically music to me pretty much is like, I wouldn't want to use the word expression. I would say it's more like my language of letting go of certain situations that happen in my life, because I can articulate that through the music, so I can sort of get those topics like off of my head. So whenever I'm creating a song, usually when I'm writing it, it's coming from a place of a certain emotion from a certain situation. So it might have been something that happened, like my uncle died, or a situation with my son, which is something I've been dealing with lately a lot, with that whole situation with baby moms and everything. So, I wrote a song called Baby Steps, and basically it's just my way of explaining to my son, hey, I love you. There's a lot of people saying a lot of things that are not true, that are just rumors, people love to talk, but this is how I actually feel about you, son. And it's like a thing where it's immortalized. Like if you make a piece of music, it's gonna outlive you. It's gonna outlive everybody. So it's a timeless thing. So that's kind of what music kind of means to me, and kind of how I kind of look at it when I'm actually creating at this point.
So how does the music influence like your daily, like, I guess, dress up? Like,
Yeah.
How does music influence like the way you dress? Like, to everyone, like the way you dress, your style is the things you do every day.
Yeah. So like, I feel like if you're serious about your music, then you take on some sort of mentality that you need to look the part as well. Have the talent, and look the part. So for me, I kind of have an organic kind of thing. I started off with the acoustic guitar, which is like really organic. So I enjoy that sort of folky type of sound, folky type of look. So I kind of dress in that sort of style. I got the brim hats and all that kind of stuff, and I like to wear bracelets and things like that. It's a little more the folky side of things, and I feel like that kind of fits my vibe, because I will create, a Metro Boomin type track for a hip hop artist or whatever, but personally the kind of music I like is organic, live stuff, John Mayer stuff, Eric Clapton stuff, Lumineers. That's kind of stuff that I really like, just raw talent stuff. So I think music kind of affected me in a way, as far as my style, where it made me more conscious to gravitate the way I look towards that sort of sound, and kind of find an identity there,
So I know that I mean, to everyone, I don't mean to like quote some famous YouTube, but I use my hair to express myself. How does that work with you?
Yeah. I am not my hair though.
I use my hair to express myself.
Like, I used to have no hair. Like literally, I was like bald. And so actually I started my hair when I was in St. Louis. I was like, that's kind of when I started kind of coming into like my whole thing as a guitarist. I started really improving and noticed it. And I was like, I need to do something that kind of outwardly expresses the creativity, because I had it innerly. And the hair is such like a spiritual thing too, because like it grows with you, it goes with you. So, through your stages of life, it's all in there. So I never really understood people that would grow dreads and then cut them, because you're kind of losing your energy there. The energy that goes into making it, and all the energy in your life is carrying with you. So yeah, for me,
oh my God.
That was really the main reason why I started my dreads, because I wanted to express myself outwardly. In my head I have so much creativity, but I felt like that would bring a level of creativity outwardly that people would see, and they would feel, that energy.
All right.
Yeah.
It's quite I mean, obviously it's been such a long story. I mean, if you've been having your dreads since like
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. You've been doing music for 10 years. Is 10 years of hair.
Yeah, 10 years of hair. Yeah, I started off, about 10, 11 years ago. I was in St. Louis, and I got back to Kansas City, and they were a lot smaller than they are. They was, wasn't very, very long. I started playing some shows with Brian Kennedy. He's done a lot of production for Chris Brown, Rihanna, Kelly Clarkson, a lot of really big people, Rascal Flatts. And so I started doing some shows with him. And, I was looking back at some pictures last week, some of my old pictures. And I said, man, you remember those times in your life. It kind of just gives you like an extra vibe. Like, oh yeah, I remember when my dreads were like that and they look like this. And as they grow, you can do different styles with them. It's really cool.
So I know there's a lot of influence on like how you grew up and like the setting of like where you grew up, like your area. Like how did your area of like where you grew up influence like the type of music you do? Because I know you do a lot of raw.
Yeah.
And I know that you grew up in not the most best of all places,
Definitely.
but yet you found this way to create amazing raw music out of a setting that is
not typical.
Yeah, it's not your typical high class or medium class. You grew up in a.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing about that. So I always believe like you don't have to be a product of your environment just because you're there. So, and also just likewise, just because a lot of people are doing something doesn't mean you need to do it. And so I feel like a lot of people like to do things and feel like they need to be accepted. And Kansas City is, I've been here my whole life. My parents and my family have helped reform the neighborhood that we were in, which was horrible. At one point, I remember sitting in my living room and a guy comes on television. And they're looking for him because he's like a serial killer, so he's killed a bunch of brothers, whatever. And like a few days before, he had like told my parents he was going to kill them and kill all of us. So this is like the neighborhood that I grew up in, right? It was just so dark. I remember that, but I just from the family I came from, what I learned was. I came from a family of entrepreneurs, and that represents doing your own thing. And so I knew what I wanted and what I liked, and so I went for that because the only thing that's going to make me really happy is doing what I like. So I just remember my mom used to play Sade records. She used to play Stevie Wonder records. She would play Christian contemporary records, and I gravitated to all those things, and I gravitated to the instruments. And my dad got me my first guitar when I was like 16 from the great local shop up on Broadway. And I think he spent his last dollars on that guitar. So coming out of that area, a lot of people were doing hip hop. I got into making the music side of it, but for me, doing like the songwriting and the live and the singing was more interesting to me. It was also a little more challenging to me, and so I wanted to take that because I like a challenge. So it was it was more of a challenge to learn, and I did start off as a lyricist, which helped my career.
So I guess in a sense, in this, I guess not dark, but like in this gray area of your life, your music was kind of like a light to look at when things got a little grim.
Yeah, exactly. Man, like, because everyone goes through it. Everyone goes through problems with the family. Everyone goes through almost that. Everyone goes through relationship issues. All of that. People deal with it different ways. Like, right now I've been dealing with this situation lately. In my life personally, with my son, and he's not being treated the way he should be treated. And I had a friend that was going through a similar situation earlier in the year. He's not here anymore. He killed himself over that same type of situation. So, for me, like, it's really how you handle, and music really helps me handle it because I can just put it in music, and whatever is going on, like, it's kind of like letting it out. Like, okay, I'll let go of this now. You know what I mean? I'm releasing the energy into this song, and I'm not gonna like put energy into worrying about it. I'm just gonna do what I can do. So it's almost like a therapy thing for me because I kind of get the feeling of the energy out, and then I can kind of feel like I did something about a situation, you know, even if it's something that's not necessarily in my control at that time. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's kind of what it does for me in times when it's, I guess, getting dark or whatever. It just kind of uplifts my spirit. So I know if it does that for me, it definitely. I've had people at shows come up to me and cry after I did shows, and at first I didn't really understand like how. I'm like, I don't know how I made you cry. I'm not trying to make you cry, but that would be how it's the energy that you put into it when you're creating it, where it's coming from. If it's coming from that place, then it's going to reach certain people that need to be reached, and that's the kind of effect it might have because it'll touch them. So it's a special thing for sure.
Oh, a little deep.
Yeah, it's real though.
So, like, so when you say son, you mean like you're like an actual son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naturally.
How does like having when you first had your son till now, how do you think, has it influenced the way your music does? Do you think it's changed a little since you've had him?
Since I've had my son, you know, and it was crazy, man. That whole situation. You know, the person I was with actually didn't even want to have my son. Just to be honest, I'm really an open book, so the way I am, I just keep it real. You know, I had to fight with that person to even have my son here in this world right now. So that situation was the situation that I assumed having a child would have been. Like, you know, in your mind, you're like, okay, when I have a child, it's gonna go like this, and this, and this. And you do that in life, and then that doesn't happen. And you're like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Now we got to figure out how to make this work this way. So, you know, it kind of made me understand that nothing is under your control except for yourself and what you want to do with yourself and how hard you're willing to work for yourself. And that kind of just reiterated that to me, and also reiterated that it really doesn't matter what anybody thinks about you, what they say about you. It's irrelevant. What matters is what you think about yourself and how you feel about yourself and how hard you're willing to work on yourself. Put yourself where you need to be to take care of the people in your life, like my son or other people, you know. So that kind of changed my mindset, and also caused me to like not worry so much about things that really are not gonna move me forward, you know. You know, I don't mind speaking up and speaking towards things that are wrong, but there's only so much true energy I'm gonna really exert into something that's not really gonna put me in another place that, you know, take me to the next level. So that also kind of helped me sort of prioritize some things, you know.
Wow. I'm at 13 minutes in now.
Okay, cool.